welcome everybody to our weekly energy tips. My name is Jona Bryndis, and this is the in-depth report here for the week 46, that is the 11th till the 16th of November 2019. Welcome Patreons, welcome Heart Warriors. Yes, our truth talk this week was all about the perception of time, the power of now, and what soulfulness means, and how inner fulfillment and meaning comes from within, comes from standing within our truth. And I hope that this brings in a little more explanation into what we are experiencing currently. The weather conditions are somewhat on stagnation, somewhat on, like needing to be really, really patient with ourselves, okay? And there are some dangers, namely the checking out and the, going back into the comfort zone, as you may have already felt yourself. All right, so the question here is always with what you are focusing on is, where does my attention go? Where does my intention go? All right, this is where your energy goes. And when we check out, it's really, really dangerous if we are not aware of what we are committing ourselves to when we are doing this. So commitment is a key word here for this next week, in the sense that it really becomes our responsibility to recognizing what we are committing to. All right, and when we go into the deep dark night of the soul, all right, we're committing ourselves to pain. And when we go into reason or causation, then we are committing ourselves to trying to explain something that already is. So my take on this is that you catch yourself here in this next week, whenever you go into anything that is not relating to right now, to how you're feeling right now, to what you are focusing on right now, where you're sending your attention, and what your intention is right now. Because that is the framework in which you are manifesting, in which you are expressing yourself. And these transformative times, guys, they're very much about changing these structures of self, all right? Moving from our me monster ego self that is focused on the past and how everything came about, all right, into this aware true self that can see into the future through mastering where your attention goes, where your focus is, and what your intention is. That is the trick here with, seeing through these times that are sometimes, either intense from the outside or intense from the inside, all right, where we don't get pulled into our coping again. Remember, the coping is when your ego self is sitting on the steering wheel of your life, okay? Because this is when you go into what worked for you in the past, all right? This is what coping really means. And many of us have developed great resilience and some great coping skills, but see, the point though is that most of that is based on your awareness of the past, your intention of the past. And therefore, it's important that you recognize that you are no longer this past you, okay? Every moment that goes by changes you. Every moment that goes by allows you to grow. And so when we fixate too much on the past, which is basically what we're doing when we're going into our ego self, all right, that's when we no longer are in the actual power of making a change. That is the part that really needs to sink in here in this next week. So while things are going a little slower, okay, it is important for you to understand that you are actually going faster, and that if you want to change your future, then that is what you need to cultivate. That is what you need to focus on, slowing things down for you so that you can make better choices, so that you can feel yourself more, that you can discern truth better. For many of the people sort of in your world right now, This time here is perceived as a deflation of the ego. And you can get caught in that too, don't get me wrong. But my hopes are that you can see this better when you get pulled into your own imbalances. Because every time you focus on the past, every time you focus on your mind alone, every time you just focus on your emotions or you focus on your body, you are fixating on something that is no longer in balance, okay? A balanced view of yourself, of who you truly are, has all these aspects integrated. All right, you can feel that your body is maybe a little sluggish. Okay, what does your body need? It needs more movement, or it needs more awareness. It needs more attention. You can feel that your emotions are somewhat unstable. You might feel a lot of anger come up. All right, so you go into feeling the anger and what is underneath it. The depth here is what's going to help you to overcome it, not the making it go away or coping with it. All right, this is sort of the main theme here for this next week on all of your levels of self-perception. So the growth that is expressing through you expresses through this holistic or integrated view of yourself. And the skill that you need now, as opposed to coping, is integrating. You need to internalize all this and really see how you can bring this into a balanced expression. All right, that's then where your new growth, where this transformation is going to manifest. Understand that this time right now, this coming week here in particular, is all about renewal and reconditioning and rewiring. Okay, so you want to deconstruct the old, and as this is going on, which can be a little bit overwhelming, can be a little bit, sort of making you feel lost, all right, you are reconstructing yourself, all right? And that reconstruction has to happen with your full attention and intention. So intentiveness to really identify with the growth and the higher expression rather than, just justifying why you can't express yourself in your higher expression, okay? You see that, right? That needs to be your focus. That needs to be your reconditioning. Accept the old conditionings that you have. Yes, look at the things that your ego suggests to you, how you want to, deal with it, based on the past. But then come up with your own new way. That is what walking the talk means. It means that you become totally and absolutely true to you. And what is the deepest truth in you? That is the divine nature in you that never changes, guys. It never changes. It is unaffected by the past, all right? Or, even the present. But the way you perceive this here on 3D, which is in this linear time conception, that things happen, as a result of the previous things. That's a limitation of our ego mind. If you identify with this, all right, then you will just merely, replay the same tape over and over and over again. So you could look at this as the collective task for all of us here, to recognize divine nature in nature. That's the easiest way. That's why this is in almost every energy tip video, but also in others, also in the way we interact with another. Okay, there's a deeper truth in all of this. All right, we all want the same things. We all want to connect. We all want to belong. We all want to feel meaning and purpose. And this is now the challenge here for this next week, collectively. There's so much going on the outside, and all of that is merely just an expression of this deflation of extremes. Putting light onto things, enlightening, illuminating things, makes these extremes become more visible. And I hope that you can see this in your own life as well. Maybe you can recognize that all these insane things that you're observing there in politics or in media, all these things that are going on are nothing but the expressions of externalized power. And, when it comes to, being accountable for the things that we've done in the past, which is, of course, what some of the politicians, some of the corporations, and also the money system and consumerism and the environmental issues that we have, they all now come with this accountability. All right, we have to stand up for that, okay, for the past. Everybody is showing their true colors right now. And so next week is a wonderful opportunity to reset, to bring closure, to just really see, okay, this is my old life. This is really how I have, lived my life in the past. And those of you who have this awareness, guys, who are not afraid of facing the core truth in yourself, the core motivation in yourself, okay, for you, this will be a wonderful time. Finally, you can feel that you are, living your purpose, and that you are seeing, what you truly need to do, instead of constantly listen to other people, or, what is supposed to be done, or what is supposed to be right, or whatever the identity is that you've taken on requires you of doing. All right, and watch this happen here, this new paradigm now starting to become more and more present also in politics and businesses, where I look into a lot right now, and I've noticed that there's a new movie that Disney is bringing forth. So Disney is one of the largest corporations here on this planet, influencing our children and contributing big time to the conditioning of everybody, is coming out with a movie called Soul next summer, and they've started their first trailers. This, to me, guys, is a huge shift. Here you can see that even these large corporations are responding to the need in us to bring more soulfulness into our lives. Okay, so you'll see this everywhere now. And first, it's just hollow in the marketing language. Okay, but later, the more we move towards this, and this is basically the collective task here for these next 10 years, okay, the more it will change the integrity of companies, the integrity of governments, the integrity of our financial systems. Watch this happen, guys. As far as next week is concerned and how it translates into your energy or energy centers, you'll feel the biggest resistance and maybe also pain or tension between your third and your fourth chakra. That is right here where this battle between your ego self and your true self takes place, physically or energetically manifesting into your physical, all right, your stomach area. Also probably your pancreas, your spleen. This is also where we hold a lot of this disdain, this, like we don't want to be here, the resentments that we have. And this is where many of you respond with grief or sadness. Okay, the other group of you responds with anger, and it reflects over to your gallbladder and to your liver, and you hold in all this toxicity. All right, both is out of balance. Both needs to be balanced. Okay, you need to really overcome this barrier between your third and your fourth chakra by strengthening your fourth. Okay, so you have a choice here. Are you going to go into the me monster, the third chakra, or are you going to go into your heart awareness? That's your fourth chakra. Now, at the same time, we're also dealing with the barrier between the fourth and the fifth. That is right here. Okay, that is, how can I bring my truth into expression? And a lot of you guys still have throat issues. So it's moving down a bit from all your eyes and your temples and your head, more here into the throat area now. Thymus tapping is a very good thing that you can do to help yourself with releasing some of the stuck energy here in your fifth chakra. Humming, singing, but also dancing, everything that can help you to just sort of physically go into more expression, truthful expression of yourself, will help you to overcome this energetically. In seventh chakra, you will feel a big opening here in this next week, which is also where my warning comes in, not to check out too much and go into like fantasy land with this. there is a huge sort of almost like a download, guys, for you to see truth and to contextualize truth better. It will trigger the deeper, self-master in you, that recognizes, oh my God, I've been focusing on things that might have been real but not necessarily true. This can lead, as I've mentioned in the past, to people going off and getting fixated on the visions, the visuals of the visions that they have. It goes into superstition almost, because I had this vision of doing something. Now I need to drop everything that I do and do that. That does not mean that, especially not when it comes to meeting other people. This is also where this soulmate, twin soul confusion comes from. You will see things and feel things, attractions maybe to people, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to marry them. All right. I always say get used to this kind of awareness, that you really feel resonances and dissonances with other people or things or places. And it doesn't always mean, what your ego makes of it, namely, black or white, leave or commit. Okay. It's just showing you something. It's showing you a pathway. All right. Physically, this restructuring now should be taken seriously. You've heard me talk about this here since July almost. It's very, very important that you understand the needs that your immune system has. There's a lot of bombardment onto your immune system right now. And I strongly recommend you guys that you study, that you educate your anatomy a little better, especially your nervous system. How these different functions of your brain, how you get caught in your autonomous nervous reaction, the fight and flight in you, that determines how you feel without you being able to change that. Your most instinctual fight or flight cannot be controlled really. But what you also have as part of your nervous system is your parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the one that can regulate the autonomous nervous system. That is where the freeze comes in for many of you. But that's also where, the whole attraction to meditation and contemplation and so forth comes in. Because with slowing down and breathing into your heart and moving with more intent and so forth, becoming more aware of your body and all your thoughts and your emotions as well, you can regulate your autonomous nervous system, okay? So the tip is to focus on what you can change and not to focus on what you can't change. Really go into this attitude towards yourself, what is most supportive, what is strengthening for you right now. And if you have a problem with feeling motivated right now and low life force, okay, then understand that the life force always flows through you, but whether it can translate in your physical, in your, through your energy centers who are regulating, it depends on your activities, depends on your habits. So if you are going into this physical stagnation right now, so the three main factors that lead to stagnation within us, stagnation of life force, is if we don't move enough. This is the need of our physical. If we withhold emotions, if we hold them in, or if we absorb too much. Also, if we are not sort of active enough in our own awareness of ourself, okay? If we have no intention, if we have no awareness of what can motivate us right now. Those are my physical tips for you, and the way you can do this is through, obviously, breathing. Yoga, of course, is the combination of breath and movement. You can also do simple Tai Chi or Qigong exercises, where you just sort of like really, really work on, opening your heart chakra through breathing into your heart, and getting yourself to go into this deeper filling up, your lungs. That will then also help you to expand your diaphragm, to expand your chest cavity, all grief and all the sadness that has been accumulating in you, okay, that needs more space, all right, and it helps you to overcome this barrier between the third and the fourth chakra. Understand that you are self-responsible for your life force, okay? So becoming an energy manager means that you respond to these different states that you oscillate between. There's nothing you can do about this fluctuation or oscillation, but you can focus on managing and regulating your energies better physically as well as emotionally. We'll talk about this here in a minute, so that whatever outer conditions cannot dominate the way you feel about yourself and others. Now, emotionally, this confusion that people have right now, or that you might be feeling about your own feelings and emotions, all right, that has to do with your ability to regulate your emotions. And here again, it's not about judging your emotions. Good and bad emotions don't exist, guys. There is no such thing as a negative emotion. There is only your fixation on that emotion, your attachment to what you perceive as negative emotion, that then translates into negativity or darkness even, all right? So loneliness, for instance, is of course a subjective feeling, but it is also an opinion, okay? It's not proven that you are actually lonely, and most of you actually aren't lonely. You constantly surrounded by people. When you feel loneliness, it's not a bad emotion at all. It tells you is that you are unable to connect. And when you cannot connect to yourself, then you cannot connect to others. So what does this mean when you have a lonely or sad feeling within yourself? It means you have to connect more with yourself. You need to regulate this more. Okay, so facing what you're truly feeling and what you're emoting is what teaches you how to regulate. So any type of withholding or holding in works against this. And this is then also where this domination factor comes in. So instead of withholding or holding in, shift your awareness to beholding, to witnessing your emotions in the moment. That's then when you can really feel where the shift has to take place. That's also, related to the accountability that I mentioned earlier. Okay, let go of needing to have all this validated from the outside or by other people. Okay, this isn't about proving that you have the most painful life, or that your trauma is worse than other people's traumas, or whatever. This isn't about proving anything or that you're right, the way you see this. This is all about finding balance. If you cannot find balance in, seeing yourself as a 3D being that has emotions, that has physical restrictions, that has a linear mind, okay, that is also a soul that has a non-linear awareness, okay, then it will be very, very difficult for you to discern what is true, even what is true within yourself, what you're truly feeling. Most of the emotions that you're feeling, guys, aren't even yours. So when it comes to connecting with yourself, and therefore being able to connect with others, being able to connect with truth and stand in your own truth, then you will always come back to the same core, and that is, can you love yourself? Okay, can you really connect with yourself and love what you find there, with all the adverse or non-optimal conditions? If you have no self-love for yourself, you cannot see truth, guys. This is so simple. All right, so any type of self-pity, self-wallowing, and excessive sadness, and this is all part of your specialness. This is all part of your me monster. And it's all part of what distances you from truth. Not just feeling truth, but also actually expressing truth, and therefore having truthful relationships, truthful and meaningful jobs, and so forth, having a truthful life. Okay? So the way this then mentally translates here for you intellectually, all right, is that you really begin to recognize how much you fixate on causation, all right, and how that is actually creating conflicts in you. So causation, is this part in us, or is the about the linearity of things, because this happened, that happened, and that happened. Okay, and this is very limited. This is where your mind, your ego mind, is really at its limits. Even if you are very smart, even if you have a wonderful education and everything, all the best knowledge in the world, even understanding all of this, will not help you to get past the limitation of your mind, namely the linearity of it. All right. So a big part here of your mental sort of conflict or mental challenge this next week is to actually see those limitations and surrender them. Surrender your ego mind and recognize that your thoughts, for the most part, are nothing but a replication of this collective thought field that is around you. Okay? This isn't your true thought. Your true thought comes from the place in you that can actually observe your thoughts. And we call this consciousness. All right? So remember, your energy goes where your attention goes and where your intention goes. And that's also where your power goes. Your power to change, your power to be happy, your power to connect, your power to see truth. All right? So instead of focusing on all these outer truths, focus on your inner truth next week. Not just next week, obviously, but next week this will be a challenge. In your relationships, a lot of you guys are coming to a place where the next phase is either closure, maybe a breakup, or the loss of a relationship or a partner. Or moving into a whole new dimension with this relationship. And this is here where the commitment to self comes into the commitment to self-growth. This needs to be part of your outspoken intention for the relationship. If your relationship cannot hold this, or if your partner doesn't have that same intention, then it's maybe better for you to go into closure. Because you will never really be able to navigate through what life throws at you with someone who is not on the fundamental core level aligned to the same thing as you are. Okay, so this isn't just about beliefs. You can have different preferences. You can be different members of different parties or different clubs or whatever. You can have different opinions. But when it comes to really committing to the core thing that holds you together as a relationship, as partners, all right, you need to both be willing to dedicate yourself to the growth for both of yourself and this relationship. Okay, the problem always arises when we want to maintain or keep things the way they are. This is the third chakra again. This is then when we begin to exert control. This is then when we go from power back into force, the lower expression of our power. Okay, so the higher expression of our power is actually allowing evolution and allowing growth, allowing expansion. The lower expression of power is force. And that's what gets you into trouble, because then you have to hold on to things, then you have to hold in things, then you become all white-knuckled control freak. Okay? If you have to control your relationship or your partner, guys, then you are not in a truthful relationship. Then you are in a relationship that is based on force, based on third chakra, and comes with all these problems that you won't be able to tackle unless you know what you're really in for, what you're really committing to. And to feel this, you have to really feel the commitment that you have with yourself and understand that that is your primary commitment, the only one that you can ever be held accountable for in this larger picture of things. You're so afraid of being judged, but at the end of the day, it's really, how truthful have you been to yourself that you need to be accountable for. So practice, being bone-crushing honest. Okay, practice that. Remember that all these little lies, even if it's just embellishments or things where you sort of, tweak the truth a little bit, these are all activities that invite darkness back into your life, that invite the lower expression back into your life, because it's not integrous, it's not based on your truth. And please, refrain from trying to be the one that knows what's better for the other person. This is a huge ego trap, guys. This is to 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 think that you know better what's good for the other. Okay, I've been in that for many, many years. And, as a healer now, I really had to heal this, because I can't go about, helping other people based on my intention, my attention, or what I think is the best for a person. All right. It's all about what makes this person grow, what helps this person to go into their higher expression, whatever that is, whether you like it or not. And that then leads me to the spiritual aspect here next week. It's all about illumination. The light is coming in. This is what these higher vibes really do to us and make us stand in truth, and therefore then enlightenment becomes a much more tangible thing for us, because it's not really about ascending, becoming so spiritual. No, it's about really becoming true with yourself. Recognize that the only truth is really the divine nature of all. And when you can see divine nature or experience the divine nature, you can feel this in the beauty of nature, actually, but also in beautiful songs and beautiful paintings and beautiful interactions between people. And there's so many different kinds of expressions of the divine nature of things. But there's one very clear indicator how you can measure this, and this is when everybody, regardless of man or woman, or what race or what collective or what religion we are from, perceive it the same way. That is when you're in the presence of divine nature. Obviously, people have preferences and so forth, but the beauty of a sunset, or the beauty of flowers or trees, that is perceived by everybody. And that's because it's the ultimate truth. It's divine truth. Okay, the true nature of things. And this, from a spiritual level, is what you are growing into. And your job now is to integrate all of this and to recognize that there is a higher power out there and in you, coming to an expression through you, through your body, through your emotions, through your thoughts, and through your relationships. And energetically, then, this means that, the energetic view is the view that basically incorporates all of the seen and unseen aspects of yourself, means that you, as energetically sensitive person, as empath, as aware person, need to learn how to integrate all of this, how to walk the talk, how to become the true blue, speaking of showing true colors, discerning which thoughts and which emotions are yours and which aren't, having the intent of full present moment awareness through self-reflection, for instance, through conscious breathing, conscious moving, and developing the habit of honesty with yourself. You can't escape that truth, guys, and you know it. There is no way back once you stand in the light of truth. You're not going to get away with the lies to yourself. Not even the fantasizing is an escape route anymore. The only commitment that really matters is the promise to your true self, to the source of all, the divine, the higher power that is going, that is expressing through you to become the highest expression of that you can be. That is what differentiates us from animals and plants. See, this higher awareness, this divine nature flows to them as well, and the ability to express it. But the difference between them and us is that they don't question it. A tiger is always the most exquisite and best expression of who a tiger can be. He never sits there and thinks about, being a tiger is kind of mean, right? I don't want to be a predator. I don't want to kill, other animals to survive. Maybe I should pretend to be a zebra. But this is what we do, guys. This is literally, where we sit and get stuck. That is our stagnation. We get caught in seeing ourselves through the eyes of others, through whatever, we think we need to be, instead of focusing on what we are. All right? What our true divine nature is. And that is expressed in these common needs that we all have. We all want to connect. We want to be loved. We want to express love. We want to feel a belonging. We want to feel sort of the love in ourselves expressing in synergetic, sort of mutual, expansive, and exchanging way. And we want to feel purpose. We want to feel meaning in what we're doing. Except for that the ego tries to give it a different meaning, okay? It pretends to be over God or over the divine and says, no, I know better. Your meaning is this. Ignore your divine nature. Just become a rich person or a famous person or a victim or, whatever it is that you identify with. That would be the better expression of your divine nature. That is really what the ego mind coerces us into. That has been the me monster, the proverbial me monster drives your bus. You are putting your ego above the divine. And that's where all the problems arise. So, have a wonderful time with this. Go into playfulness, guys. This has come in through all the transmissions here lately, to really invite, this sort of, I don't want to say humor. It's not actually humor, this curiosity and wanting to experiment with things and wanting to explore. That's a playfulness, okay? This is how nature does it. Yeah? Nature does it through exploring, through trying, trial and error, okay? Try to tune into this and be honest with yourself what the attention is, what the focus is that you are expressing through whatever it is that you are doing, that you are emoting, that you are thinking, and that you are acting out. See you next week, guys. Thank you so much for supporting the Patreon channel and for supporting transCODES, and wishing you a wonderful, playful week. Bye-bye.